Somewhere in your first 2 years of life, something happened to you that you will never remember. Not a small forgetting, a total erasure. Your first steps, your first word, the face of the person who fed you every single day. Gone. Why would evolution build a mind that deletes the very beginning of its own story? You have probably tried to remember. Maybe you have a flash of a birthday party, a kitchen, a dog. But is that a memory? Or a photograph you were shown so many times your brain built a memory around it? For most people, everything before age 2 or 3 simply does not exist. Psychologists call this infantile amnesia. And the strange part is not that babies forget quickly. The strange part is that they forget almost everything on a schedule shockingly consistent across nearly every human being on Earth. For most of the 20th century, there was one explanation, and it came from Sigmund Freud. He believed early memories were repressed because they were too disturbing for the conscious mind to hold. But there was a problem. Animals experience infantile amnesia too. Rats forget their earliest experiences. So do monkeys. Neither has a Freudian subconscious. Something else was going on, something biological. The real breakthrough came from psychologist Carolyn Rovey Collier, who studied infant memory using a simple setup: a ribbon tied from a baby's ankle to a mobile. Babies quickly learned that kicking made the mobile move, and weeks later, they still remembered how. So infants were not memoryless. Their brains could absolutely form memories. The real question was why those memories vanish later, permanently, for everyone. In 2014, researchers Paul Franklin and Sheena Jocelyn offered an answer that changed the conversation. Their theory centers on neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons in the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. In early childhood, neurogenesis happens explosively. That should make memory better. It does the opposite. Picture the hippocampus as clay and every memory a groove pressed into it. Now imagine that clay constantly being reshaped as thousands of new neurons get inserted every day. The grooves never solidify. Franklin and Jocelyn tested this in mice. Boosting neurogenesis in adults made them forget faster. Slowing it in infant mice made memories last longer. Your earliest memories were not repressed. They were architecturally impossible to keep. But neurogenesis is not the whole story. Psychologist Patricia Bauer studies how children build memories as they grow, and her work reveals something crucial. Holding on to a memory you can consciously recall later requires more than storage. It requires language, a sense of self across time, a story with a beginning and an end. A 1-year-old brain has almost none of that scaffolding yet. So even memories that survive the neurogenesis storm often have nowhere to go. Here is the unsettling part. Bauer found that children as old as 5 or 6 can still recall specific events from when they were 2 or 3. But by age 8 or 9, those same memories are gone, even though the children could clearly describe them years earlier. Infantile amnesia is not something that only happens in infancy. It keeps deleting memories well into childhood. So why would evolution allow this? The forgetting is not a flaw. It is the price of rapid learning. In your earliest years, your brain absorbs enormous foundational information: how to move, recognize faces, process language, understand gravity. None of that benefits from being tied to specific autobiographical moments. It benefits from becoming instinct. Evolution prioritized fast, flexible learning over preserving the memory of learning it, because for a creature that cannot yet walk or speak, learning fast mattered more than remembering later. Does this feel familiar now, as an adult? It should. Your brain still makes a version of this trade. Learn something new and demanding, and the fine details around it fade first. Ask anyone who studied intensely for an exam. The lesson stuck. The week around it often did not. There is one more twist. The early memories that feel vivid and real to you are very likely not memories at all in the way you assume. Researchers have found that so-called earliest memories are often reconstructed from photographs, family stories, and repeated retellings, stitched together into something that feels like first-hand experience. You were never meant to remember those years, so your brain, unable to leave a blank space, built you a substitute. Which brings you back to that erased beginning. You spent the most transformative years of your existence learning to walk, to speak, to recognize the people who loved you, and every trace of the experience was wiped clean by the very process that made the learning possible. Somewhere in your first 2 years of life, something happened to you that you will never remember. And now you finally understand why that was always exactly how it was supposed to be.